So, Kyle,
Yes.
welcome
Thank you.
to this training. This is going to be interesting. Now, like I said, I am traveling. So if I cut out at
Mm.
all, let me know. I'm here at my home in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Kyle, have you ever seen? Have you ever watched that? I've only seen the first season because I don't really watch much TV. The Netflix show Ozark with Jason Bateman in it.
I've heard of it. I haven't really got to
Heard of
watch
it.
it
Okay.
though.
Well, that show takes place right here. Like literally, they do like a drone flyover of the lake in the very beginning, and it actually shows my house in one of the coves. So that's my
Oh no.
fame here. So I'm going to be here at the lake for about the next 2 weeks, and I'll be back in the office in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, I wanted to interview you because every week we get clamored by people like, interview me for the show, interview me for the Facebook group, and there's certain
Yeah.
requirements we require. You have to go from, making this to making this, usually at least 3 or 4xing your income as a salesperson or entrepreneur with our training before we have somebody on. And you've done that. You've almost 5x what you used to make. So congratulations. Now,
Thank
Kyle,
you.
we're going to break down your sales process today for everybody. Tell us
Absolutely.
what you sell. You sell some type of lead generation or something, right?
Yeah. So lead gen to business owners and consumers.
Okay, so you sell
Yeah.
leads and lead generation to business owners. Probably, I'm assuming that more smaller businesses. We're not talking like
Yeah.
okay, so
Absolutely.
smaller business owners. So you do little B2B, and then you also sell them to B2C people. Like, are these type of people like people that buy leads for whatever, like home-based businesses, or what would they buy the leads for?
Yeah. To develop the skill and then eventually start up their own business as well.
Oh,
So
I see. Okay, all right. Now, my first question for you, and I always ask this of everybody, because we interview 1 or 2 new people every single week in this group. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think people look at you guys like, oh my gosh, these are like the gods of selling. They must have been born out of their mother's wombs with all these advanced skills. So my question is, were you born out of your mother's womb with advanced questioning and advanced tonality skills?
Absolutely not. No,
Okay, so
definitely
you were
not.
not born out of your mother's womb having all this knowledge and all these skill sets that you have now.
Oh, definitely not. No.
Shocking. I've never met somebody that does so well that says they were born out of their mother's womb with all those skills. Now, you acquired those. Okay. Now, how long have you actually been in sales? I don't think you've been in sales that long.
Just a little over a year and still
Okay, so
going.
a little bit over a year. What did you used to do before you got your first? So this is your first sales job.
Yeah, really it is. So I did some construction and then a little bit of copywriting before I got
Okay, so
involved
you
with
work
sales.
construction. So you're like banging, with a hammer, manual
Yeah.
labor, and then
Mhm.
you were doing some copywriting. So you were starting to learn how to write like copy for businesses.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
caused you to go from that profession and jump into the world of sales without having skill sets to do that?
Oh man, I just got more curious about business. I got more curious about sales. I wanted a better, I guess, opportunity for myself and my babies, my kids. So
Okay.
um and then I came across some content and I was like, hey, I feel like I can do this and
Okay,
kind of started
perfect.
from
So you
there.
got into this job. Now, my name is Jeremy Minor, all right? So I'm the chairman and founder of Seventh Level. And if you haven't heard our training or you're not one of our clients, we are a global sales training company, and we train people exactly like you watching me and Kyle right here. In fact, Kyle would have been watching one of these lives a while ago, and now he's here as one of our clients. So we train sales professionals like you. We train sales management like you. We train sales executives like you. We train coaches like you. We train business owners, entrepreneurs, CSOs, VPs of sales, and we help you and your teams really transform the way you sell. Okay, by learning specific skilled questions and techniques that Kyle's going to explain that actually work with human behavior. Okay, that trigger your prospects to want to engage with you, to want to open up to you, okay, to go below the surface. Okay, these are known as what's called neuro-emotional persuasion questions. So if we talk about NEPQ, that means neuro-emotional persuasion questions, okay? And it leads your prospects to start pulling you in instead of you trying to push them forward. Because as we know, Human Behavior 101 says when you push, the average prospect does what? They push back. They go into fight or flight mode. And Kyle's going to show you a little bit of that today, all right? Kyle, nobody cares about me. You're the cool kid today, all right? So Kyle, you're based out of Phoenix, Arizona, from what I heard before I got on here with you, right? Okay, so you're only about 20 minutes away from our corporate headquarters in Scottsdale. Well done, my man. All right, so Kyle, so a year ago, you're not in sales. You jump into sales. And what happened your first couple of months? How were you trained? What happened?
Man, well, I think the training that I had was a little bit like invasive.
How do you mean by invasive?
Well, like you would like dive right into their problems real fast. And I don't think people like really responded well to that.
Okay.
And then on top of that, like my tonality was really off.
Okay. So the training you went through, we're not going to name names, the training that you went through, but the training you went through is basically a form of consultative selling. Okay. That's really what it's called. And you were saying it's invasive because what was some of the first questions they were teaching you how to ask?
What's your greatest problem at the moment?
So like in the first 30 seconds to a minute, and how would most prospects respond to that?
Excuse me? What? They were like, what? It just seemed like off, they don't really respond well to that.
Okay. So
it just triggers resistance.
It's not necessarily a bad question, but in 2022, people aren't just going to open up to you from basic surface level consultative questions like that. Like you have to earn the right for them to actually go deep with you from your questioning. Like they're not going to open up to like, hey, John, what's your biggest problem that you have, right? Like most people are not going to open up unless they're a lay down sale, right? Is that what you found?
Yep, for sure.
Okay. Now, with that type of training, what type of results were you getting? And just be real. Like what type of results were you getting?
The type of results where people start questioning whether they should have you on their team or not. Those kind of results.
You're about to lose your job, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so not good results. All right. So what caused you, because from what I understand, you've only been in our training 6 months, or how long has it been?
With the inner circle for 6 months.
Okay, so you got into you started like right away. So you got into like our advanced stuff. You jumped right into our advanced inner circle. And what started changing for you? Let's just talk about the opening part of the conversation. Now, do you call outbound leads that like respond to an ad and you're calling them back, or are these inbound leads that book on your calendar?
Yeah, they're inbound. They book onto the calendar.
Okay, so they book on your calendar. They responded to some type of ad that's piqued their interest. They're seeing what you got. Do you get on Zoom with them, I'm assuming, or on the phone?
Yeah, Zoom and over the phone, whatever suits them.
Okay, so that makes sense. So just that part of the conversation from what you learned for Inner Circle. Now, how are you changing? Instead of asking that first awkward question, give us an example of maybe one connecting question that we've taught you how to ask and how people open up for that. You don't have to give all the connecting questions we taught you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I guess, Jeremy, like when you're kind of going through some different things that influencer was kind of going over, I guess like what was it that kind of attracted your attention today?
Okay, so basic connecting question. So, because these people respond to some type of ad. So John, when you were when you saw the ad where the CEO was talking about X and Y and Z, what was it about the ad that attracted your attention? Now, why is that question so important on like an inbound lead or even an outbound lead who responds to an ad? What does that do in the prospect's mind?
Yeah, it's like they're automatically selling themselves on why they're here in the first place.
It's the first part of that. It's the first part, receding the self-persuasion just by that one of those first. Now, that's not the first question you'll ask in connecting. That's probably the second or third, typically, especially with what you sell. How do your prospects react to that compared to how they used to react to that old consultative question you were used to asking?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they're like, oh, yeah, it was interesting. He was going over X, Y, and Z. And I felt like this was like kind of like a right opportunity. And I was very curious to kind of hear more about what you guys have to offer.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we won't give them all the other connecting questions we've taught you, right? Because you've acquired those skills by being a client. All right. So situation questions. Now, before NEPQ, what were you saying or what were you asking to try to find out their situation? What were you taught in the past to do?
Well, just ask for their greatest problem and then like start probing automatically into like what they're doing. So I didn't really have like
what if they didn't tell you their problem?
And then you would start with like their goals first, and it was just like a complex system that you're trying to use to really dive into like.
How did people respond to that? So if you said, "Hey, what's your biggest problem in the past before any PQ?"
Mm.
What would most people say to that?
I wouldn't say like I have a big problem. I was just wanted to find out like what you guys do and how you
Yeah,
do it.
so they're immediately going to defend themselves. That's what
Yeah.
that question does. Is they're basically, especially if they're a business owner, they don't want to admit to you that they have problems because
Mm.
you're asking that question way too early in the conversation before there's any trust built. Now, when I say trust, I don't mean by getting on there and asking them how the weather is or who won the game last night or how are you doing today, George? Like that does not build trust. That actually does not build trust at all because every salesperson asks those same, I'd say, non-trusting questions. Okay. So it actually triggers resistance because they know what you're trying to do. Okay.
Mhm.
So what situation, like give us, there's tons of situation questions we've taught you how to ask. I'm not going to have you give them all out for everybody here. If they're clients, they already know all those.
Yeah.
But one situation question that you ask now and what
Yeah.
type of result to get.
Yeah. So just so I understand, like, what is it that you currently do for a living?
Okay, yeah, because you're helping these people like start their own business as well, like in
Mhm.
the lead generation space, almost like a franchisee type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how do they respond to that? What do you find them doing?
Yeah. So sometimes they tell me what they do and they'll try to like dive into their problems automatically sometimes. And I'm
Yeah,
like, hold on. Like, I guess,
a few situation
yeah.
questions, they'll start to dabble into what their real
Yeah.
problems are, right?
Yeah. I'm like, hold on. Like, how long have you been doing this for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, problem awareness questions. So now after we help them so our situation questions are not just for us to find out what that prospect's current situation is. We call that their current state. But they're also to help them find out what their real situation is because most prospects don't really know what their situation is when you first get on a call with them. They don't know what their real problems are. They think they have an idea. They think they know what they need, but most prospects don't know what they need when you first start talking to them. They might have an idea, but most don't understand what their real problems are. Your questioning skills allow them to see what their real problems are. That's how that creates value in what you are doing and what you offer. What's a good problem awareness question we've taught you? Because there's many, but what's one good problem awareness question we've taught you?
Yeah. So I guess like you've been kind of experiencing a problem for like the past 3 years. If anything, has that had like an impact on you?
Okay, and how do they respond to that? So
Well, you
it's a
slow.
good 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes in the conversation by this point, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you slow down with your tone, and it gets them to really think about what they're saying and
Why is this
really
so
open.
important? Why is it so important to slow down with your tonality? Why not just ask that question like fast?
Because they'll give you a sharp answer right back to you. And oftentimes it won't be the response that will serve them well or you.
Yeah,
So
it's a knee-jerk question and they're going to give you a knee-jerk reaction, right? It's just like if you walk into a car dealership and you're looking at buying a car, okay, you're kind of shopping around, and the salesperson comes over and says, "Hey, welcome into the store. How can I help you?" What do people do? Just looking. See, it's a knee-jerk question that every salesperson asks in retail, and they get a knee-jerk reaction, right? So we can't do that unless we want knee. So we have to slow that down. So you've been going through this for the past 3 years. Do you and see how I slow down my cadence? Like I'm thinking about what I'm going to ask. Now, when we do that, which we teach all that in our virtual training centers, when we do that, that triggers them to pull us in more. It's more engaging because they're like holding on to everything that we're doing. Okay. It's like, I'll give you an example. Like Tony Robbins does a really good job with this. There's like Barack Obama, one of the I don't get into politics, but he was really good at drawing people in because he would slow down what he would say and ask. That triggered people to open up more and think deeper about what he was saying, asking. Tony Robbins does a great job of that as well. So once you've done that, how do your prospects react when you slow down with your tone?
they'll give me a really vivid, detailed answer about what they're experiencing.
Yeah. And what does that do?
And they'll give me emotionally charged words like they'll say like stressed or like frustrated, and they'll give you. It's really powerful.
Yeah. Now, when we hear an emotional word that the prospect gives, let's say the prospect says, "Oh my gosh, I've been so stressed," or it's really annoying, or so frustrating. Do we want to just let that go and go to the next surface level question, or what do we want to do with that?
I like to mirror those emotionally charged words. Stressed.
Yeah. See, okay. Yeah, I just taught about that in the inner circle. So one way we can do that is there's a couple of different ways. We can either use one word. We can use the emotional word stress, or we can say annoyed, or you can say frustrated. Now, see my facial expression when I ask that. Even if I'm on the phone, I still do that with my facial expression because why? Because it affects my tonality. But especially if they can see me, I have to do it. But even if you're on the phone, they can't, you still have to use the right body language because it affects your tonality 100%. Okay. If I'm sitting here like this, stress, it's weird. But if I'm like, stress, see that? See how that comes across? All right. Now, another way you can do is, hold on, walk me back. How do you mean by stress? Or hold on, what did you mean by stress? Or hold on for a second. A minute ago, you said that you were frustrated. How do you mean by frustrated? See, there's clarifying questions we can ask, or we can just use the one word emotion word. Stress, annoyed, concern. See, and they'll open up when we say stress, the big, oh my gosh. So when you even use that one word, how do prospects react?
Oh man, they'll start explaining to themselves or you like what's actually going on.
Yeah, by one word.
Powerful.
By one word. Now you can only use that if it's an emotional word. If somebody said just some logical word like, yeah, it's not going to be the same. So if they say stressed or annoyed or anything like that, frustrated, just that one emotional word can open them up. Okay, let's keep cruising here. We're on about 10 minutes. Solution awareness questions. So now that you've helped them find out what their current situation is, you've also helped them see what the gap is in their mind from where they are. Now we have to help them see what their future is going to look like once all these newfound problems that you've helped them discover from your questioning that they have. Once those problems, okay, how do we know what words are emotional? Jason? Frustration, stress, concern, anxiety. Those are emotional words, right? What were you going to say, Kyle?
Oh no, I was just going to respond to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just exactly what you said. Angry, frustrated, stressed, all those words.
Yeah, Jason, that's a good question. Any words that are emotional, frustrated, stressed, anxiety, concern, those are emotional words, right? That's when you can say that. Okay. So solution awareness questions help them see what their future is going to look like once all these newfound problems are solved. What's one good, because there's many that we've taught you, but what's one good solution awareness question that we've taught you?
A good one, just I'll give you a brief example. Like, how do you see life being different than it is right now?
And why do we want to ask that question, especially with what you sell? Now, if you're selling to a CEO of Google, we're going to reword that question a little bit differently. But that question is more for a B2C person in his industry. Okay, there's a few tweaks. But why is that question so important for you to ask your prospects? After they've seen where they're at, they've seen the gap compared to where they want to be. And now we're getting them to see what their future is going to look like once all these problems are solved. Why?
Yeah, it really elicits, you're like future facing them, and it really elicits emotional responses. It's connecting them to the future outcome of what your solution solves for them.
Yeah, because if we can't do that, if we don't know the right connecting questions, situation, problem awareness, solution awareness questions to connect their current state, current situation to where they want to be, their objective state, and help them see what that gap is, what type of objections do we usually get at the end if we can't do that?
I'm going to go ahead and have to think about this.
I need to think it over. I need to keep doing more research. I need to keep looking at other companies. I need to look at other quotes. Those are triggered objections you guys are getting because you don't know the right questioning skills and the right tonality to build a gap in the prospect's mind from where they are compared to where they want to be. You can't tell them. You tell them it goes in one ear, out the other because you're biased. Your questioning skills allows them to tell themselves. And if you don't know those, that's exactly why you guys listening are getting, I want to think it over. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to go back to the board again. You sell B2B. I need to do more research. We need to look at other quotes. We've got other vendors coming in. That's exactly why you guys are getting those objections. Once you learn what Kyle is learning now, you just don't get those. Well, you still get those objections here and there, but what do you think? It's probably reduced 70%, or what would you say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you do get it, we show you what to do. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, for sure. Like before, like I would just I need to think about it a lot, and then I'd get ghosted.
Yeah, so you wouldn't think about it a lot, or what would you say? Like if somebody said in the past, like, oh, I want to think this over, what were you trained to do in the past? That objection.
What you want to Like, what do you want to think over? Just so, or it just be kind of like challenging them a little bit too much.
And what would most prospects do?
They would just like want to get off the phone with me.
Yeah, because they feel the sales pressure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But if I do this, okay, we teach all this in our virtual training programs as well, like But if I just said, yeah, that's not a problem. What's your time frame on getting back to me the next day or two just to see if I'd be available for you? All that does is it takes the pressure right out. Now, I'm not just going to go. I'm not going to be like, oh, I hope they call back. I'm not going to do that. But I want to disarm them, right? If I can disarm them and let their guard down, they're going to be more open to what I'm suggesting. So they think I'm about to leave. We set up a real appointment. There's a little bit more training that goes into how to set up a calendar appointment. Okay, we don't have time for that. And then before I get off Zoom or on the phone or in the boardroom or on the door, whatever. Now, hey, before I go, Kyle, what was it that you were wanting to go over in your mind, just so I know what questions you have when we talk again in a few days? And that's when the prospect always say, well, I just don't know about this, or I'm concerned we don't have the money for this, or I'm not sure it's going to help us here. And they're going to tell you what their real concern is, because they feel like you're about to leave. There's no sales pressure, so they can actually tell you, and then you're still there. Help them overcome it and actually close the deal. Let's talk about consequence questions now. Okay. Yes, Juliana, I love that part about to see if I'll be available for you. See, that changes the dynamic in the customer salesperson dynamic. It's really important, Juliana, because if you're like, well, when can I call you back? Or when can we follow up? It's like you just lowered your status with the prospect. Every time you go into a conversation, this is called an NPQ status frame, Juliana. I'm talking to you specifically. Every time you go into a conversation with the prospect, okay, you have to have at least the same status as them in their mind. They have to view you with the same status. Now, by the middle of that conversation, even if it's just a first call discovery or meeting discovery, they have to start view you as having a higher status than them in what you're talking about. And by the end, for them to buy, they have to view you up here with that type of status. You are the expert. You're the trusted authority in what you're offering and can get them the results. Now, when I say just to see if I'd be available for you, that implies what? I'm busy. I'm an expert. I don't need them to buy. Like, it doesn't have any impact on me if they don't purchase what I'm offering. It only impacts who? And only impacts the prospect, because they don't get their problem solved and they don't get the results they want. So little languaging that flips the script, Juliana, where it flips you as the expert. It flips your status as higher than that of the prospect. So they view you as the authority who can solve their problems. Because if you have a lower status than them, do you think they're going to buy from somebody they think has a lower status they don't view somebody that has a lower status as someone who can solve their problems and get them the results they want? That's why they don't buy. Okay. So just little things like that, Juliana, and everybody else, like just to see if I'd be available for you, implies that you don't need them. Everybody's chasing you down. You're the expert. You're the one that can solve their problems. Okay. All right, Kyle, what else? Consequence questions. What's a good consequence question we've taught you how to ask?
Yeah. So I guess, like, what if nothing changes though, and you just stay in this job for like the next 3, 6, or 5 years? Like, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So with what you sell, what these people are trying to do is they're trying to like start their own franchise, basically, like what you do, like lead
Mhm.
marketing and stuff. So they want to make more money, they want to have more time. So you're basically selling them a business in the box, like a franchise. Okay.
Mhm.
So, okay, but what if you don't do anything about this? Like if you just stay in this same job, same income the next 5, 10, 15 plus years? See my skepticism there?
Mm.
Now, how do your prospects react to that when you ask them that?
One or two ways. One, oh no, that's not. I'm definitely going to figure out a way. Or they'll vividly tell me like what exactly what's going to happen if they do. So
Yeah, and either way is fine because they're gonna be like, oh, no, 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 I'm gonna do something about this. And that is what you're selling, folks. It doesn't matter what you sell. Okay, if you're Juliana, I think you sell like, I wanna say health benefits, maybe? I don't remember. I think that's you. I'm not sure. We got lots of clients in your space too, but you're not actually selling a company health benefits. You're selling them the results of what those benefits do to their employees as far as making sure their employees don't leave because they have better benefits. That's what you're selling. You're selling the results of what you're selling. You're not selling the thing itself, right? Like if you sell health insurance, you sell life insurance. You're not selling a policy. You're selling the results of what that policy does when a spouse dies, and now all of their bills are paid off and they have complete financial security. If you sell some type of cybersecurity to businesses or banks, you're not selling a software. You are selling you're selling the results of what that software does, which protects their customer's identity from fraud, right? If you're selling Lamborghinis, you're not selling them a Lamborghini. You're not selling them a car. You're selling them the results of what that car does for them emotionally, which fulfills an emotional need of a higher status, right? If you're
mm,
selling homes as a real estate agent, you're not selling them a home. You're selling them the results of what that home does for them. Maybe it's in a safer neighborhood because that was where they used to before they lived before any not so safe neighborhood. So we have to think that we're not selling the thing, we're selling the results of what that thing does for them. Okay. 401k benefits. Okay, Juliana was close, halfway close. All right. All right. So Kyle, we won't go into how we've helped you structure like your presentation and all that stuff, but how is it different now, your presentation, compared to what you were taught in the past?
it really relates to how your solution can actually solve their problems.
In what way?
Um, well, like in a certain part in the script, you find out like exactly what they're looking for,
Yeah.
and you just plug in right there. So because you know how you tell me that's your XYZ, well, what we do here, and then you present it. So
Yeah. How do your prospects react to that now compared to how they used to react when you would go through your
uh,
presentation?
I think it gets them to think more about the outcome of
Yeah.
like kind of like what you're just explaining right now.
The
So like
result.
the results, the outcome that it's actually going to do for them instead
Yeah.
of just like pushing a product or service onto them.
And then how do you, at that point, how do you get them to close themselves? Like what type of, we train you commitment questions that get them to commit and take the next step. Now, I believe you do like a one call close, right?
I do too.
You do a two
So
call close. All right.
mhm.
So let's say that if you're in a two call close, that first call is a discovery call, and then you're transitioning, you're asking smaller commitment questions that get them to commit to maybe doing a demo or a presentation or a proposal. Now, if you're in B2B sales, and let's say your selling cycle is 3, 4, 5, 6 months, could be 9 months. Okay. You're asking smaller commitment questions that commit to take the next step. Maybe it's a next step demo. Maybe it's a next step meeting with the CIO. Maybe it's a next step meeting with their board. Maybe it's a next step meeting with them for a proposal. It just depends on what your sales process is. But let's say you're at the end of your second call because you're in a two
Mhm.
call close. What type of commitment question, just give us one that we taught you,
Yeah.
you're going to use to get them to commit and take the next step to purchase?
Yeah. Do you feel like this could be the answer for you?
In your mind, why are you slowing down and pausing? That's called a verbal pause when you ask that question. Why is that so important?
Well, you don't want to just like you said earlier, just give you a knee jerk reaction, and then really think about the solution, how it's going to solve their problems, the outcomes that they're going to get out of it. So
See, what you're doing, Kyle, what you just said there is you're focused on their outcomes. So Most salespeople, okay, because they don't understand questioning skills. They don't understand the right questions. They don't have any NEPQ like you do. Okay? They don't have the playbook. They're just out winging it. Okay.
Been there.
Right. So what they don't understand is that when they're asking those knee-jerk type of questions, like, so when do you want to take delivery, Wednesday or Thursday, or do you want the red one or the blue one, or why not give it a try, or those cheesy old school closing lines. First of all, your prospects have heard them over and over and over for a long time because every salesperson uses those. And second of all, you're just like assuming. You're not even asking for their permission. You're not asking them to commit to take the next step. So what they're doing by doing that is they're getting their prospects to think more about price-based thinking. Whereas what we're getting you to do, and our clients, the reason why you outsell most everybody else in your field that sell exactly what you're doing, is you've now learned how to get them to think results-based thinking. So they don't think about the price, they think about the outcome. They think about the outcome and results once all of these newfound problems are solved. So price is not really important to them. It actually seems cheap compared to the outcome and results that you're able to get them.
Right.
Any last words of advice you'd have for anybody listening today?
Yeah, just like figure out what it is that's gonna like motivate you. Go through the script yourself, future pace yourself. What are the consequences if you stay where you're at? Be congruent with it. And I think that fuels my fire, gets me hungry. And I keep investing into myself. I keep developing my skills. So.
Yeah, like my good friend Bradley always says, is training something you did, or is training something that you do? Well, if you want to be a top 1% earning salesperson like Kyle is now, and Kyle went from making $2,000 or $3,000 a month in commissions to now making, probably $200,000 a year in commissions. That's a big jump. Okay. And he's still learning. That's the thing. 6 months from now, he's going to be making a lot more than that. If you want to learn those type of skills, then training is something you have to do. But it has to be the right training, right? Like I just read Michael Jordan's biography a while ago, and it's a great analogy. He says you can take 1,000 jump shots a day, but if your technique is off, if you're taught the wrong way to shoot, you're still going to suck at basketball. And the same is true in selling. You can practice all day long. You can knock on doors. You can do cold calling all day long. But if your technique is off, if you don't have the right techniques to work with human behavior, you're still not going to do very good at selling. Okay. Kyle, thanks for being on here. Now, you guys start learning these same skills that Kyle has and thousands of our clients have. Okay. We only have like 6,600 some testimonials in the last 26 months. I don't know. I've heard that's possibly good. There's a reason why Inc. magazine ranked us the fastest growing sales training company in the United States last year. I think we're going to get that award this year again because we've more than like quadrupled what we did last year already. There's a reason why. So you want to learn those skills. You want to be like Kyle and start making 10 grand a month in commissions. You want to start making 15 or 20 grand. I'm talking consistently, not 1 month and then the next month you're back down to 6. Every month, you want to start making 25 grand a month in commissions, maybe 30, 35, 40 grand a month in commissions. Like we have thousands of clients that are doing, and clients that are in the same industry you are in that are watching me right now. They sell exactly what you are, and they are making 3 to 4 to 5 times more than you are, selling exactly what you are now. The only difference is what? Do they put on their shoes in the morning? Probably. Do they wear pants like you? Probably. Do they brush their teeth? Probably. Do they eat breakfast? Probably. So what's the difference? They just have the right sales skills that work with human behavior. Kyle, can't thank you enough. Well done, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Really appreciate you.
You're just starting here. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you for everything you do.
Kyle, well done. I know you're in Phoenix, so when I get back to the office here in a couple weeks, come down and see us. You're only about 20, 25 minutes away.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're going to help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.